From highs in the 70s to lows in the 20s, we're tracking a massive drop in temperatures happening in the next 48 hours and which areas could even see snow flurries this weekend. Towson safety concerns.
In 2 weeks, there's been 4 major incidences.
New today, county leaders announced the immediate steps to increase safety, and we talked to the community about the changes. Baltimore City averaging over a dozen stolen cars a day.
If we can't prevent an act like this, there has to be some accountability.
Our team digs into the numbers and looks for solutions.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 4.
As we come on the air this afternoon, our region is seeing temperatures that are warm enough to threaten a century-old record. You're looking at live pictures around our area as we enjoy these warm temps. Other parts of the country, though, seeing historic winter weather. Meteorologist Jasmine Lomax is tracking more changes in the weather straight ahead. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I'm Mary Bubala.
And I'm Kai Jackson. Fox 45 News is demanding accountability to 3 big stories right now: murder, rape, and assault. Baltimore County leaders are proposing security upgrades after a string of violent crimes in the heart of Towson. The new developments today and reaction. The
Baltimore City Council has continued doubts over a new deal between the mayor and BGE over the city's Conduit system. The hearing happening tonight.
And community members are speaking up as Governor Wes Moore proposes to reduce funding to Boost, an educational program helping low-income families.
It is up to us to have the responsibility and accountability to do not what is politically expedient, but do what is in the best interest of our children.
We have live team coverage.
Let's get to Maxine Stryker live in Towson. Maxine, county leaders proposing solutions to the crime and violence we're seeing.
Well, in the immediate, Mary, they tell us that police will begin stepping up patrols, and you'll see more feet on the streets. But they're also talking about implementing things such as license plate readers, additional security cameras throughout Towson, even hiring private security to help out. This as police have yet to make an arrest or identify a motive in Monday night's homicide.
For the past several weeks, Towson has been grappling with a crime problem.
Is it just a string of bad luck that in 2 weeks there's been 4 major incidences? Maybe, perhaps. I really don't know where it's coming from or why it was so fast.
First, 3 victims were raped at gunpoint downtown, then a shooting and a stabbing Super Bowl Sunday. And on Monday, 17-year-old Trayshawn Harmon was murdered steps from the Towson Circle.
I think the community is so stunned because it's not typical for Towson. This is just not, so many incidents in such a short period of time is just not typical for our area.
The community has been on edge, and county leaders are vowing to get ahead of the crime and ease their fears.
Just coming here to enjoy things. We're going to walk tonight to walk the walk literally and show that Towson is in fact a safe place to live.
Just last night, County Executive Johnny Olszewski, police, and business leaders came together for a public safety walk.
What time do you normally see, like when you talk about the large crowds, like around what time? Usually once the mall lets out, we'll start seeing an influx of folks leaving the mall to come down and make their way to Towson.
Olszewski says they're moving forward with grants for license plate readers and more cameras. They're even exploring hiring additional security to help police who will be stepping up patrols and more visible on the streets.
We're all taking this extremely seriously.
Nancy Hafford with the Towson Chamber of Commerce says she began looking into the measures already this morning.
I called my camera company, the guy that installed a lot of the cameras, and said, we need you here ASAP to put cameras on the back of buildings and alleys.
Hafford says she'll study areas that have successfully implemented private security, but she can't put a price tag on it just yet. Meantime,
anything that they do is great. We will definitely be behind them.
Restaurant owners like Jill Pacco are hopeful crime will be curbed and business won't be affected.
We just need to continue with the lighting.
And Nick Zareski at Charles Village Pub says he's already noticing more police.
Everything will help. I mean, obviously, if you can blanket the community with police and cameras and, you know, they're obviously, you know, the police are out there working as hard as they can, and it can't be everywhere all the time. But, you know, extra cameras and street lights and making it a more well-lit area will obviously help.
So we asked police today if the victim had been at the Towson Town Center prior to the shooting, an area where you heard police say large crowds often come from, and if the suspect and the victim knew each other. Police tell us tonight they are still examining what led up to this event and if they had any relationship at all. Reporting live, Maxine Stryker, Fox 45 News.
Maxine, thank you. Well, Fox 45 News has reported about a number of violent incidents around the Towson Mall and other malls here in Maryland and even around the nation. So tonight we're asking, what does it take to secure a mall from violence?
If you have a big event and you know there's going to be a lot of people there and potential problems, you pull certain units, you pull specialized units.
Vincent Hill reports on malls and public safety.
Tonight, the Baltimore City Council will hear from BGE about that controversial Conduit deal with the city. Jeff Abel is live right now at City Hall with more on that event. Jeff?
Well, for the first time since this Conduit controversy broke loose here at City Hall, representatives from BG&E will be here at the City Council chambers tonight answering questions from City Council members who have been demanding answers. As you know, council members say they were left in the dark about the mayor's agreement, which gives BG&E almost exclusive control over the underground conduit system. Critics say the mayor's agreement violates the will of voters who voted in November to retain ownership of the system. Yesterday, the mayor defended his handling of this agreement, insisting he's abided by the letter of city law. But a few moments ago, City Councilman Eric Costello told us that the council will have plenty of questions for BG&E.
In my mind, I can't understand why the administration and BGE did not ask for a deferral, a postponement of BGE submitting their new rates. What I do know is that the mayor claimed that action was taken on this agreement, and BGE went to the PSC 2 days later and suggested raising our rates. And that's a problem to me.
Again, that hearing with BGE representatives set to begin here in a little less than an hour. We're live at City Hall. Jeff Abel, Fox 45 News.
And Jeff, the Attorney General, as I know you understand as well, was asked to investigate this deal. Do you know if that will happen?
That's right. You know, the comptroller and the City Council president last week put out a plea for the Attorney General to actually review the case to be sure it is indeed abiding by the letter of city law. But so far, no word from the Attorney General's office whether they have any plans to review it.
Fallout continues over Governor Wes Moore's plan to cut the Boost program.
Some Republican lawmakers argue the state's teachers union is behind the cut.
Fox 45's Mackenzie Frost questioned Governor Moore about his motivations to phase out the program in Annapolis today and looks at what can be done to help students in struggling schools now.
The Boost program provides scholarships to low-income families to take their child out of a struggling school and go elsewhere. Governor Wes Moore is looking to phase out the program, while Republican lawmakers here in Annapolis are trying to restore funding. And at the root of this debate, according to political analysts, is the powerful persuasion of money and support. The problems inside classrooms across the state find their way to the halls of the State House.
It's really outrageous. We shouldn't be leaving these kids behind and their families behind.
Were Republicans looking to restore the $2 million proposed cut to the $10 million Boost program. Governor Wes Moore looking to phase out the program launched to help lift low-income families out of struggling school systems.
I can't imagine, and I don't want to think about what it would have been like without it.
Like Nefertari Lee, whose son got a grant allowing him to go to a private all-boys school instead of Johnston Square Elementary, which is one of the 23 schools in Baltimore City where none of the students tested could do math at grade level.
The school selections weren't great. I just don't think that this is an area that we should cut. We are ultimately cutting kids' futures if we do that.
Democrats likely not moving on the efforts by their GOP counterparts to refund the program.
So at this point, from your perspective, the legislation that was heard earlier today is essentially dead.
Well, it's going to go to subcommittee. I haven't read it in full, so I don't know all the ins and outs of what it does. You know, it could be dead, parts of it could be saved. I'm not sure. I think the path of the General Assembly is to phase out the Boost funding.
Republicans argue the hesitation to allow families to leave public schools stems from political powers.
The teachers union is very powerful, and they have come in time and time again and have been the main opposition to Boost.
Children in classrooms today are losing because the General Assembly has repeatedly chosen to pay more attention to the adults who work in the system, making them the winners, while the students in the failing schools lose.
Thursday,
Good morning. Happy first day of summer.
we questioned Governor Moore about the possibility of union influence.
The decisions that I make are my decisions, and no one is behind those decisions. As we're thinking about that what needs to happen with public dollars, that public dollars should not be going to private schools. Public dollars are going towards ensuring that we're building a world-class public school system for all Maryland students.
But those schools right now where those students aren't a world-class school. So how does the plan work for the students who are facing those struggles right now?
Our philosophy and how we're going to address this is not going to be a measurement of defeat. We've got to make sure that we're working in partnership with the local jurisdictions.
Campaign records indicate the Maryland State Education Association donated $6,000, the max allowed, to Moore in April of 2022. Then on January 11th of this year, another $1,000 donation was made.
I think that in many ways, he's returning a favor to the unions for their endorsement.
Political analyst John Deedy says the teachers union was one of the first big unions to back Moore on the campaign trail, and now potentially flexing power it didn't have during the Hogan administration.
I think that something like this shows that the teachers unions definitely have a great deal of power in Annapolis, and they were shut out for 8 years where Governor Hogan didn't care what they thought.
While the future of the Boost program remains unclear, Moore says the current participants will continue to receive their scholarships.
The governor's proposed cuts are part of the budgeting process, and lawmakers have the ability to shift some money around. Republicans say they'll try to do that to restore the Boost program, but they won't be able to do that unless Democrats get on board. In the State House, Mackenzie Frost, Fox 45 News.
Governor Wes Moore himself attended a prestigious private school in New York. He attended a military academy in Pennsylvania. Community activist PM Smith tells Fox 45 News the governor shouldn't be taking away opportunities that he's had from other children.
The money is critical and essential to elevate inner city kids locked into poor performing schools, giving them an opportunity for a different environment and greater opportunity. It makes no sense to me for a young man who knows the value of education and has benefited from it. It makes no sense to me that he would cut money from such a program. And that tells me he's more of a politician than a committed man to the future of children.
Well, strong reaction on social media to the governor's plans to cut Boost funding. Political commentator Armstrong Williams taking issue with the proposal.
The Boost program, launched in the state of Maryland, was supposed to provide severely disadvantaged students with access to private or Catholic schools. Sadly, even this program is not immune to the political whims of those in power. Imagine how many students will have their lives forever altered for this decision of choice in their education.
Well, we want to know what you think. Do you support Governor Moore's proposal to cut funding to Boost? So far, 94% say no. Head to foxbaltimore.com/vote to weigh in.
We invite you to join us for a Your Voice, Your Future Crisis in the Classroom town hall, focusing on the relationships between crime, poverty, and education. It happens at Huber Memorial Church this Monday at 7 p.m. You can also watch live on foxbaltimore.com.
Car thefts on the rise across Baltimore. I'm Alexa Ashwell, live with the startling statistics and what experts believe is behind this troubling trend.
He's going to grow up. He has to be a man. He has to be productive.
Fox 45 News is getting answers for a Baltimore family as they navigate a struggling education system. The support coming in for parent Michelle Watkins.
And Maryland families still unable to access money in the state's college savings funds. The changes lawmakers are promising.
And outside, it's feeling a little more like spring than winter with temperatures in the 60s and 70s. But this weekend, we're in for much colder temperatures and it'll feel like February again. I'll let you know what you can expect for the weekend coming up in my full forecast.
Fox 45 News, winner of 17 2022 Regional Emmy Awards, more than all other Baltimore news stations combined.
Car thefts are rising across the country.
And here in Baltimore, the stats are staggering. Nearly 700 cars have been stolen, some by force, throughout the city this year. That's more than a dozen cars a day.
Alexa Ashwell, digging into those numbers, joins us live with what some believe is behind this troubling trend and what it would take to stop it. Alexa?
Kai, Mary, 13 cars a day. To give you a visual representation, that would be all of these cars, as well as every single one of these cars in this parking lot, gone in just one day. There have been nearly 700 cars stolen in Baltimore so far this year, as you mentioned. At least 627 car thefts and 65 carjackings. Former Baltimore Police Deputy Commissioner Jason Johnson says people, often juveniles, will use stolen cars to commit other crimes and avoid immediate detection. Fox 45 News reached out to city police asking how many of those have been arrested for these crimes are juveniles and what's being done to address this issue. Johnson believes this also comes down to a lack of consequence.
We always want to focus on prevention, but if we can't prevent an act like this, there has to be some accountability. And again, we are dealing with juvenile offenders here, and in the state legislature and elsewhere, there is this continued push to help young people avoid accountability.
Now, specifically, car thefts are up 36% compared to this time last year. I'll have more on that coming up at 5. For now, reporting live in North Baltimore, Alexa Ashwell, Fox 45 News.
The other day, I saw little flowers popping up on the ground, and it was 65 degrees. Now, all of a sudden, we kick back into winter.
A dynamic coast-to-coast storm is bringing heavy snow and freezing temperatures to some areas, dumping heavy rain and gusty wind to others.
Here in our region, we are experiencing very unusual warm weather. This is the site Mackenzie Frost captured in Annapolis today. Look at the trees, the cherry blossoms are already there. That is incredible.
It really is. Let's check on live conditions right now. You're looking at Baltimore, Towson, and also Ocean City. It's been a roller coaster weather week, but not many people are complaining today.
No, we are all smiles, happy, cheerful, all is good in our world, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's just so crazy to think that it's February and it's just feeling like spring. So hopefully you both were able to enjoy this nice weather.
Yeah, yes. It was a beautiful day. Are we going to hit the record, do you think, Jasmine?
I think we're going to come very close. Okay. We are currently in the upper 70s, so tying the record. We could possibly break it, though, and hopefully, again, you enjoyed these spring-like temperatures because we are getting a check of reality over the weekend. We are back to the 40s by Saturday, making it feel a little more like winter. Still, we're sitting at 78, and it's a great afternoon, great evening to spend some time outside, maybe outdoor eating. We've got plenty of sunshine and a light breeze. Across the state, we're seeing those temperatures in the 60s and the 70s, above average for all of us. And compared to just 24 hours ago, we're seeing those numbers over 20 degrees higher. Here in Baltimore, over the past 24 hours, temperatures are 29 degrees higher than they were yesterday at this time. Tomorrow, it won't quite be as warm. By the afternoon, we're talking the 50s. That's above average for this time of year, but we're in for another drop in temperatures by Saturday. Afternoon highs will reach the mid-40s, and there is the slight chance for precipitation, but we return to the 50s on Sunday, and that looks like another nice day for spending some time outside. We'll stay mostly clear overnight, waking up to temperatures in the 40s. Then by the afternoon, our temperatures slowly rise to the upper 40s, low 50s, but we will have plenty of sunshine as we start the weekend. We'll stay mostly dry overnight, but a few clouds roll in as we head into daybreak on Saturday. There is the chance for a few flurries, but we don't expect significant or any accumulation. This does gradually clear as we head into the afternoon, and then we stay dry for the rest of Saturday, and we stay dry on Sunday as well. Rain chances, however, will increase on Monday. That's our next chance for numerous showers across the state. We stay mostly dry on Tuesday, then heading into the second half of the week, we have another chance for a few scattered showers. Temperatures, though, will remain above average. 48 for the low temperature overnight. That's actually where our high temperatures typically are around this time of year. By the afternoon, though, our temperatures gradually rise to the upper 40s, low 50s. It will be a little breezy at times, but we'll have plenty of sunshine throughout the day. Then we're talking the 40s on Saturday, making it feel more like winter. We're back to the 50s on Sunday, upper 40s on Monday with rain. Then we're talking mid-50s on Tuesday and Wednesday, and we stay warm as we finish out the week. Back to you.
Jasmine, thank you. Well, a sure sign of spring, the Maryland Zoo is returning to regular hours for guests. This is a live look. Look how beautiful that is right now. On March 1st, that's next Wednesday, the zoo will end its shortened winter schedule and return to regular hours and pricing. Those normal hours will be from 10 in the morning till 4 in the afternoon, 7 days a week. Guests who buy online at marylandzoo.org will save $2 a ticket and enjoy faster entry times. But we want to see how you're enjoying the warm weather today. Use your phone's camera to scan the QR code right there on your screen. It takes you straight to foxbaltimore.com/chime-in, where you can submit your pictures and videos.
1 year in, the humanitarian and financial costs of the Russia-Ukraine war and America's role. How much has the U.S. spent? That.
I was on the phone with 911. I was trying to tend to Pawpaw. I was trying to tend to Maggie.
A former South Carolina attorney takes the stand in the double murder trial of his wife and son, what Alex Murdaugh has admitted to and what he's denying. Well, for months now, some Maryland families have not been able to access money in their college savings accounts. The bill being considered that would help them put them in charge when it comes to changes at Maryland's 529. One year into the Russia-Ukraine war, and we are getting a better look at the toll it has taken. Meanwhile, many experts say American support has been key to Ukraine's success in defending much of the country from the invasion. Sinclair's chief political correspondent Scott Thuman is live looking at how long this fight could last. Good evening, Scott.
Yeah, good evening, Mary. Unfortunately, the answer across the board really is no one seems to have any idea. Much of that rests in Vladimir Putin's hands, that he is the determining factor in how long it might last or how quickly it could wrap up. But it has been a year, as you just pointed out, and patience among many people has run a little bit thin as far as how much support the United States can or should provide the Ukrainian people. Although overwhelmingly it's still there, it is starting to wane just a bit. I talked to the White House about that today. Their stance: you cannot put a price on democracy. Leaders of Ukraine and Russia both paying tribute to the loss of life over the last year. Tens of thousands dead, millions displaced. And then there's the financial cost, too. America's bill somewhere around $113 billion through last year, with President Biden promising more.
It's worth fighting for as long as it takes, and that's how long we're going to be with you.
But is there a point where it's too much? I asked White House spokesman John Kirby.
Nobody, believe me, nobody here at the White House wants to be having the same conversation a year from now. And looking back on 2 years of war, we want this to end as soon as possible. A negotiated settlement is probably the best way to get there. But Mr. Putin has shown no interest in negotiating in good faith.
Last May, 60% of Americans supported government aid to Ukraine. It's now 48%.
Certainly understand that some Americans have legitimate questions and concerns, but it's also important to remember that this war, though it's thousands of miles away, has already impacted life here in the United States in terms of the price of gas, in terms of contributing to the inflationary food prices.
Chairman of the House Oversight Committee, James Comer, just sent this letter demanding proof to show U.S. money is being protected from waste, fraud, and abuse. And former President Trump at the site of that toxic train crash in Ohio Wednesday, criticizing President Biden's overseas spending.
I sincerely hope that when your representatives and all of the politicians get here, including Biden, they get back from touring Ukraine, that he's got some money left over.
So back to that pressing question of just how long this could last. Keep in mind, Russia is more isolated now than at any time since the Cold War, yet is about to engage, experts believe, in another surge that could include 300,000 troops, and that would then require more manpower and money to counter it. On Capitol Hill, I'm Scott Thubin, Fox 45 News.
The fate of a Baltimore City charter school will be decided today. I'm Rebecca Pryor, and coming up, I'll tell you what's ahead for tonight's highly anticipated school board meeting.
I have so many people reaching out. I mean, it's been crazy.
Fox 45 News getting answers for a Baltimore mom and her child as they face a struggling education system, how the community is helping the family. Plus, do you like your sweeteners? New research reveals the impact on your health, and it is surprising. Well, tonight, the future of the Baltimore Collegiate School for Boys will be put up to a vote.
Yeah, the school is at risk of being shut down because of what the school system calls, or the school has been calling technicalities.
That's right. Fox 45's Rebecca Pryor joins us live with what we can expect ahead of tonight's meeting. She's outside school board headquarters. Rebecca?
Yeah, Mary and Kai, it is decision day for Baltimore Collegiate School for Boys. That special board meeting happening tonight at 6 p.m., during which the board will vote to renew or revoke their charter. The school was brought under fire after the city filed a recent report finding the school was having several academic issues and operational difficulties, all problems the school describes as technicalities, such as missing paperwork or data entry errors. The school is also claiming those issues have since been addressed. Now, despite the controversy last week, Baltimore City School CEO Dr. Sonia Santelises ultimately urging the board to renew the charter. Take a listen to her reasoning behind that positive recommendation.
I will tell you that there was a palpable difference, and staff agreed, in the climate of a school that, frankly, a year and a half ago was in complete disarray. And that was not what I found when I walked in, unannounced, by the way. We will actually have a high-performing school for young men in Baltimore.
Again, that meeting is scheduled for tonight at 6 p.m. We will be watching and we'll keep you updated on what the board ultimately decides. But for now, reporting live in Baltimore City, Rebecca Pryor, Fox 45 News.
Rebecca, thank you. In Annapolis, a Maryland Senate committee is considering a bill that would launch a work group to look into the failings of Maryland 529. Now, and we understand parents would be included in that group, and state officials would as well. Parents and students yesterday testified in Annapolis. They shared the pain and frustration of seeing prepaid savings accounts drained due to what Maryland 529 called an interest error calculation.
I am a single mother of 3, and I work for Prince George's County Public Schools. I do not have the luxury of time nor the funds to change how I save for my kids' college.
My dad missed spending time with me in order to fund an account that was more expensive then than now.
Families need to pay tuition and make life-changing decisions right now.
Maryland 529 has dodged Fox 45's questions on behalf of parents, including exactly when all accounts would be freed up and if money would be returned. David Williams with the Taxpayers Protection Alliance weighed in this morning.
This is not a computer problem. This is a problem that was caused by the 529 program. And first of all, there needs to be transparency. Parents are calling and saying, what is going on? They're not getting answers. Money has disappeared. Taxpayers will probably have to bail out this fund because this is hundreds of millions of dollars that was promised to these parents. So, the Senate, was talking yesterday about, putting out a report, but they're not going to be able to solve this until probably the end of 2023 or next year. So parents need answers now.
At least 2 members of Maryland 529 resigned amid these concerns.
A Baltimore City mom receives an outpouring of support after an emotional plea to help her son, a 4th grader who is far behind in his education.
Project Baltimore's Chris Papps explains after we told Nichelle Watkins' story, that help came, but not from Baltimore City schools.
I want to hear your assessment. I want to hear what happened. Give me a grade. What was my grade?
Oh, you get an A+.
You get an A+, okay. What'd you like? Okay, thank you.
It's now been 2 weeks since Nichelle Watkins shared her story with Project Baltimore.
They didn't want to leave, of course, and that's normal.
And in those 2 weeks, her life has changed.
Do you have hope? I do.
Did you have hope before this?
No, I didn't.
Watkins' son, Logan, is in 4th grade at Johnston Square Elementary, which a Project Baltimore investigation found is one of 23 city schools where 0 students who took the state math test last year scored proficient.
I feel like they don't care. It's not their children. They don't care.
Following that story, Watkins came forward pleading for help for her son.
He can't read. He's in the 4th grade. Look around. I'm in public housing. I can't afford no $1,000 tutor from Sylvan, but that's what he needs, a tutor.
He actually read the paragraph the first time.
And that is what he now has.
I have so many people reaching out. I mean, It's been crazy.
Watkins' story triggered an outpouring of support. Numerous tutoring services, including Sylvan Learning, contacted Watkins offering free tutoring for Logan. 2 viewers came forward, each offering $1,000 to pay for tutoring services. A local private school has offered Logan free tuition.
Now, though, it's time for me to know.
But the first to reach out.
So this is Al, okay?
Was Blanca Tapuasco.
It is sad that he's so far behind. As high.
High as.
For 25 years, Tapuasco has been a tutor, at one time for Baltimore City schools.
Bedelia.
Bedelia.
Just notice that the word bed is there.
When she saw Logan's story on FOX45, she immediately offered to help.
After assessing Logan and listening to him read, I have him at a first grade, definitely kindergarten for math, okay?
Once a week through June, Tapuasco has agreed to tutor Logan for 1 hour in math and reading.
A.
E.
It's sad to say this, but he's not the one who's failing. It's someone didn't spend time enough to give him what he needs. So he's not in the failing stage. He's been pretty much left.
Baltimore City Schools has a budget of $1.6 billion a year to educate students.
Because now you know that A-L is pronounced owl.
Tapuasco is tutoring Logan for free.
So it is hope, because any improvement that you can make is a step for him forward.
Why couldn't the school system do for Logan what you're doing now?
They could.
But his mom says they're not.
I don't know what they offer or if they're offering anything.
According to Watkins, the school system has offered nothing. She says no one from Baltimore City Schools has reached out. Not the principal, not the school board, not the CEO, no one. She hasn't heard from any of her elected officials in Baltimore City either.
Something must be done.
But some in Annapolis have taken notice. Kathy Schlega is a state delegate from Baltimore County and a former Baltimore City Schools teacher.
You know, it's heartbreaking when we see student after student that are falling through the cracks.
Baltimore City is facing a devastating reality.
On Monday, following Project Baltimore's reports on state test scores, Schlega wrote this letter to members of the Accountability Board. The board is appointed by the governor to implement the blueprint for Maryland's future, a massive increase in education funding known as Kerwin. The letter references serious concerns, saying there are too many persistently failing schools in Maryland. It asks how the state will remedy the poor academic outcomes so students can be functionally literate.
With all the money and everything we're investing into schools, they should get a great public education.
Shower.
He's going to grow up. He has to be a man. He has to be productive. And that's my main thing for him. Like, I just want better for you.
I'm Chris Pabst, and this is Project Baltimore.
Making headlines across the country, former South Carolina attorney Alex Murdaugh takes the stand in his double murder trial where he denies killing his wife and son. During testimony today, Murdaugh admitted to lying to law enforcement about the details of the night of the crime. Video shows him near the dog kennels on the property shortly before the murders happened. Murdaugh originally denied being at the dog kennels.
Mr. Griffin, I didn't shoot my wife or my son anytime, ever. I wasn't thinking clearly. I don't think I was capable of reason. And I lied about being down there. And I'm so sorry that I did.
Murdaugh said because he lied because of his drug addiction and a distrust of police. He also broke down crying multiple times as he was questioned about finding the victims' bodies. And while the 911 call he made was played in court.
The National Transportation Safety Bureau has released its preliminary report on the Ohio train derailment. Investigators say a Norfolk Southern engineer increased braking after an audible alert of an overheating axle. Well, the full report won't be available for several months. This comes as Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg visits the site and promises support for residents.
Well, first of all, I want them to know they're not alone. that before, during, and after the national attention, they're going to have support. They're going to have support from us when it comes to holding Norfolk Southern accountable. They're going to have support from the EPA when it comes to making sure they get accurate information about the safety of their air, water, and soil. And I think they can have support, they ought to have support from a whole country that has seen what they've been through.
Buttigieg says that he was keyed into the derailment from the start, but concedes he wasn't vocal enough about it. Meanwhile, he's calling on Congress to give regulators more authority to rein in rail companies which have lobbied for deregulation.
The U.S. economy grew less during the holiday season than previously believed. According to government numbers, the GDP for the final 3 months of the year grew at a 2.7% annual rate. The previous estimate was 2.9%. The reading reflects consumers cutting back on spending. Also today, we learned first-time unemployment claims are also down. Gas prices are dropping. According to AAA, the average cost for a gallon of regular in Maryland and around the nation is around $3.39. That is down 3 cents from a week ago. A year ago, gas was going for an average of $3.44 per gallon. Well, trending now, Florida drivers may not be able to let their dogs stick their head out of the car window anymore.
This always scares me anyway. Lawmakers are considering a bill that would make it illegal when cars are moving. Advocates say foreign objects could get into a dog's eyes or the dog could potentially jump out. We saw a frightening situation of that. I think it was California last week, Mary. It is part of a larger animal. The dog was okay, by the way. It was part of a larger animal welfare bill. The ban would also stop drivers from having their dogs on their laps as well, limit how long animals are tethered outside, and ban the practice of declawing cats.
Oh, no. As a mother of a hound, though, there was a shot that looked like copper right there,
Really?
too.
You saw copper?
I mean, if you put a hound in a car, you
Yeah.
have to let it stick its nose
That's
out
what
the
they
window.
do.
It's what they
Well,
do.
I know Jasmine. I know how much she loves Caramel, and I can't imagine. Caramel's probably tethered in the car anytime Jasmine goes anywhere.
She loves sticking her head out. And she also loved our temperatures today. We're seeing numbers currently in the 70s. We hit a high of 79 and we broke our record, but we're back to cool winter temperatures over the weekend. I'll let you know about our big drop coming up in my Weather Authority forecast.
All right, Jasmine, thank you. Coming up, what impacts do sweeteners have on your body? The eye-opening research answering this question. Making headlines right now, R. Kelly receives a 20-year prison sentence in a federal child pornography case. The 56-year-old singer will serve the sentence at the same time he completes a 30-year sentence in a New York conviction. Harvey Weinstein's prison time nearly doubled after sentencing today. The former movie producer is serving a New York sentence and has more than 20 years left. He was sentenced to 16 years for rape and sexual assault charges in California today.
It's cold. It feels really cold. Yeah, it's freezing.
It could be pretty rough as we get towards the end of the week here.
A massive coast-to-coast winter storm is making its way across the country. Southern California under a rare winter alert. And right now, the Midwest is bracing for up to 20 inches of snowfall. Now, while some parts of the country are in the midst of a massive winter storm, others, including our region, are experiencing a summer-like heat wave. More than 130 U.S. cities could set records for daily and monthly high temperatures this week. Experts do warn that's not a good thing. According to the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration, about 35 to 40% of the Great Lakes should be covered in ice right now. But as of last week, only 7% of the 5 freshwater lakes were covered in ice. Now, without that ice to act as a buffer for large wind-driven waves, coastlines are susceptible to erosion and also flooding. As for crops, well, plants are blooming earlier, as we talked about, because of the warmer weather. But that leaves fruits and vegetables vulnerable to spring freezes, which could disrupt and damage their plant cycle. Here's meteorologist Jasmine Lomax. And Jasmine, I know we're going to cool down, and I wonder if we could even see some of that snow that you want.
Oh, you know, there's that chance for flurries, but it's just not exciting snow. We're not talking a lot, very little accumulation. So for the snow lovers like me, it just isn't looking good this weekend. We've got more spring-like temperatures. In fact, 78 is more typical for late May. So we are well above average for that number. But we do have plenty of sunshine, and of course it feels great. Hopefully you enjoyed the nice weather because we are in for major cool downs as we finish the week. Across the state, most of us are in the 70s with plenty of sunshine, and compared to just 24 hours ago, this is over 20 degrees cooler in many locations. Here, that's about 29 degrees cooler than this time yesterday, 30 in Laurel and in Elkton, and then upper 20s in Cumberland. Now we're back to the lower temperatures, getting a little closer to average tomorrow as highs reach the low 50s. Then we're talking the 40s on Saturday, finishing the week with our coldest temperatures. We do have the slight chance for precipitation, but we're back to dry weather and higher temperatures on Sunday. That'll be the nicest day if you plan on spending some time outdoors this weekend. We'll stay mostly clear overnight as our temperatures fall to the 40s. Then by the afternoon, we reach the upper 40s, low 50s with plenty of sunshine across the state. We'll stay mostly quiet as the night begins, but more clouds arrive as we head into Saturday morning, and there could even be a few flurries. These will primarily stay north and to the east of the city, but it gradually starts to taper as we head into the afternoon, and then we're left with dry weather and clearing skies. We'll stay pretty quiet on Sunday with those high temperatures returning to the 50s, so no significant snow for our area. After that, we've got our next chance for rain on Monday. That will be numerous showers across the state. Then on Tuesday, we stay dry. After that, we get ready for more rain, scattered showers on Thursday. Temperatures, however, will be above average for much of the week. 48 for the low temperature. It will be mild and clear and a little breezy at times. Then tomorrow, temperatures top off around 52 with plenty of sunshine. It will be breezy with gusts up to 30 miles per hour, and that can make it feel more like the upper 40s. Temperatures will reach the mid-40s on Saturday, making it feel like winter again. Then we're back to the 50s on Sunday. Upper 40s with rain on Monday, then mid-50s again on Tuesday and Wednesday. After that, we've got our next chance for showers on Thursday and temperatures in the upper 50s. Back to you.
Jasmine, thank you. New research out of the University of Toronto looks at the impact that non-nutritive sweeteners have on the body. We're talking about things like aspartame, stevia, and sucralose. Scientists found the no or low calorie alternatives did not increase blood glucose or other endocrine responses, basically treating it like water. The study's author emphasizes that this was an acute study looking at the immediate effects. He says long-term analysis is needed to determine the impacts on appetite and also weight gain. Coming up at 5 o'clock, more than a dozen cars stolen a day. What's driving a surge in Baltimore City thefts and what can be done to stop it. One last opportunity to experience the transformation of a 19th century building in Baltimore. The preview of this weekend's pop-up vintage market. There's a special event happening this weekend at a place called The Parlor in North Baltimore. It's a 19th century building that's been transformed into a pop-up vintage market. Amy Aronson checked it out this morning.
We are checking out a pop-up vintage marketplace. I'm here with Curry Lee, who's showing us around. One more weekend to check out all the cool things you have. And what's a historic spot to do a little bit of shopping? So where are we?
Yeah, so we are at the Parlor in Station North. It used to be a funeral parlor for about 100 years.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
What a perfect backdrop for all these vintage items you have. What can people find when they walk around here?
Yeah, so there is a bunch of vintage furniture, decor, clothing. We have some furniture that's kind of has like 80s deco vibes. We also have some more antique pieces in the back, as well as clothing from the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s.
And this weekend you have lots of fun events happening to give people a reason to come out and do some shopping here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so on Friday we are going to have a sip and shop from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. We'll be serving wine, complimentary. And then on Saturday and Sunday, in addition to all the vintage wares that are for sale, local makers will be popping up and selling their own items.
Okay, cool. And even after this pop-up market ends, this space is going to be used for something pretty cool.
Yeah, so eventually it'll be turned into a speakeasy restaurant venue. And there will also be artist studios on the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th floor.
Very cool. An appropriate space for it. Thank you so much. In Station North, Amy Aronson, Fox 45 News.
All right, it may not be December, but this may be a reason to start preparing. The 1957 classic children's book, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, is getting a sequel. It will be released September 5th. The new book takes place a year after The Grinch Stole Christmas from Whoville. We understand it will focus on the Grinch's plan to win the Christmas crown by making the largest tree the town has ever seen. The sequel is now available for pre-order. Coming up at 5 o'clock, Baltimore City Council members push BGE for answers. The latest on the hearings happening right now over that controversial Conduit deal. After a string of violent incidents at malls, Fox 45 is asking what can be done to keep people safe. We'll talk with an expert about why shopping centers seem difficult to secure. Private security and more cameras in busy areas, the steps leaders in Baltimore County plan on taking to keep people safe after a string of violent crimes.
Dangerous incidents at malls here and across the nation, looking into why securing shopping centers can be a challenge.
More than a dozen cars stolen every day in the city. We ask law enforcement experts what can be done to protect drivers.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 5.
Towson business leaders are feeling hopeful today after a public safety walk downtown Towson last night. It follows the murder of 17-year-old Trayshawn Harmon, a Baltimore City student who was killed Monday night steps from the Towson Circle. Good evening, everybody. I'm Mary Bubala.
I'm Kai Jackson. We have team coverage right now as the continued violent crime in Baltimore County has the community on edge. Fox 45's Maxine Stryker joins us live in Towson with solutions and what business owners are saying. Maxine?
Well, Kai, in the immediate, we know police plan to step up patrols, more feet on the streets, as well as bicycle patrols as well. But they're also discussing license plate readers, more cameras, even hiring private security to help downtown in Towson right now. Now, in the past few weeks, 3 victims were raped at gunpoint downtown, then a shooting and a stabbing Super Bowl Sunday. And on Monday, the 17-year-old Trayshawn Harmon was murdered just steps from the Towson Circle. Just last night, County Executive Johnny Olszewski, police and business leaders came together for a public safety walk. Nancy Hafford with the Towson Chamber of Commerce says immediately this morning she began looking into private security and securing more cameras. Restaurant owners like Joe Pacco are hopeful crime will be curbed and business will not be affected.
We just need to continue with the lighting.
Thing will help. I mean, obviously, if you can blanket the community with police and cameras and they're obviously, the police are out there working as hard as they can, and it can't be everywhere all the time. But, extra cameras and street lights and making it a more well-lit area will obviously help.
Maxine, are there any updates from police? Has an arrest been made in Monday's homicide, for instance?
Well, no arrest yet, Kai. We did ask police today if they knew if the victim had been at the Towson Town Center prior to the shooting, an area where police mentioned last night large crowds often do come from after the mall lets out. They come into downtown Towson as well. And we also asked if they believe the suspect and the victim knew each other. Police tell us right now they're still looking into what led up to this shooting and if there was any relationship between them. Reporting live in Towson, Maxine Stryker, Fox 45 News.
Maxine, thank you. Well, crime in Towson leading to concern from lawmakers in Annapolis. Republican delegate Nino Mangione, who grew up near Towson, says he is worried about the recent violence and is hoping for more severe punishments, keeping violent offenders in jail.
And if we are to make any progress in reducing violent crime, then our top priority must be we need to identify, target, and incarcerate hardcore, repeat violent offenders throughout the state. And the simple fact of the matter is, Tom, that we ought to make a decision as a community, as elected officials, that show that our priority is to keep people safe.
Safety is a growing concern for shoppers after violence in and around shopping centers. So what kind of tactics should police be taking when responding to incidents at the mall? Fox 45's Vincent Hill joins us live right now after asking experts what can be done to protect people. Vincent?
Yeah, Kai, a former police officer I spoke with who's responded to some disturbances at one of the country's biggest malls says it comes down to preparation and planning.
At Columbia Mall, a large fight last month has mall employees fed up, calling for adult chaperones for anyone under the age of 17.
Chances of kids, getting a little rowdy happens a lot. I know where I work, it's kind of annoying because they can trash the entire place.
34 miles away at the White Marsh Mall, even though a parental guidance is in effect for nights and weekends, concerns of safety.
We come in here early in the morning and we're out of here about now.
That's the world, this day and age. We're not happy about it.
10 miles away at Towson Town Center, where the same parental guidance is in effect, the same concern.
I feel a little bit cautious about things. I think a lot of stuff happening in the malls is not really the people living in the neighborhood, the other people coming through.
So how do police patrol malls to ease those concerns of caution?
Been there, done it.
Melissa Pinkleton is a retired police officer. She says mall security isn't easy.
The truth is, it's a tactical nightmare, but it has to be done.
Pinkleton says the first step is constant police presence.
Visibility. You're going to have uniformed officers. Visibility.
Then having a plan of action before anything happens.
Before this mall closes down, what's one thing major we can do? If you have a big event and there's going to be a lot of people there and potential problems, you pull certain units.
Next comes the tactics when an incident goes down.
Hopefully you have at least 10 to 12 officers by then. You have 2 to 3 officers go break that fight up, and then you kind of have a semicircle of the rest of the officers yelling back up, and you start making people back up.
Pinkleton pointing out that malls are private property and mostly hire private security. She says the job of keeping malls safe should be put in the hands of police.
Because otherwise, it's just eye candy if you don't actually have the officers there with the opportunity or with the authority to effect the arrest.
Meanwhile, I visited 3 malls today and didn't see much of an officer presence outside that mall. Of course, our cameras are not allowed inside. For now, we're live in Towson. Vincent Hill, Fox 45 News.
Vincent, thank you. There's new information tonight after Anne Arundel County Police say a shooting happened yesterday. Around 2:30 in the afternoon, a 48-year-old man was shot in his Brooklyn Park home. He was taken to the hospital with life-threatening injuries. 70-year-old George Albert Summers has been arrested in connection to that shooting. Summers and the victim lived in the same house where the shooting happened.
The Allegheny County man accused of killing 3 people, including his half-brother and sister-in-law in Howard County, has been offered a plea deal. Prosecutors say Jeffrey Burnham was motivated by COVID conspiracy theories and believed the government was using the COVID vaccine to kill people. Online court records currently show pleas of not criminally responsible for the charges he's facing in Howard County. A trial is set for March 28th.
Tonight, Governor Wes Moore makes his pick to lead the Maryland State Police. The governor nominated State Police veteran Lieutenant Colonel Roland Butler to lead the agency. Butler brings nearly 30 years of policing experience. In 2020, he was appointed to be chief of the Field Operations Bureau, overseeing 1,000 troopers at 23 barracks across the state.
We're here to safeguard the communities and the people within Maryland. We will do our very best. I will hold people accountable. My executive staff will hold me accountable.
If confirmed, he would be the first African American in state history to hold that position.
Car thefts are rising across the country, particularly among teens. Here in Baltimore, the statistics are staggering. Nearly 700 cars have been stolen, some by force throughout the city so far this year. That is more than a dozen cars a day. Alexa Ashwell's live with what some believe is behind this troubling trend. Alexa?
Yes, Mary, 13 cars a day. To give you a visual representation, that would be all of these cars, as well as every single one of these cars in this parking lot, gone in just one day. And experts don't see this trend stopping anytime soon.
We have two vehicles under the brake, and a pedestrian under the brake.
It was just 2 weeks ago when police say a driver in a stolen car caused this fatal collision and building collapse on North Avenue while trying to elude officers. The car, investigators say, had been reported stolen in the city just days earlier. The statistics staggering. There have been nearly 700 cars stolen in Baltimore so far this year. At least 627 car thefts and 65 carjackings. That's 13 cars a day gone, some taken violently.
The general reason why cars are stolen nowadays or carjacked is to provide a vehicle to commit other crimes.
Former Baltimore Police Deputy Commissioner Jason Johnson detailing those other crimes include robberies, shootings, and even homicides, with the stolen car being a way to carry out the act as well as avoid immediate detection.
And that's the general modus operandi.
Johnson also pointing out car thefts and carjackings are often committed by juveniles.
These are 12 to 17-year-old offenders.
Johnson says technology and the power of social media may be contributing to the rise in car thefts, specifically among young people.
People have learned how to get them started just by using, a smartphone and watching a video.
In Baltimore County, police are distributing wheel locks for certain vehicles amid a TikTok car theft trend. Fox 45 News reaching out to city police, asking how many of those arrested for these crimes are in fact juveniles and what's being done to address this issue. Johnson believes this also comes down to a lack of consequence.
We always want to focus on prevention. But if we can't prevent an act like this, there has to be some accountability. And again, we are dealing with juvenile offenders here, and in the state legislature and elsewhere, there is this continued push to help young people avoid accountability.
Again, I sent those questions to the Baltimore Police Department. A spokesperson acknowledged my request, but I have not yet received a response. Reporting live in North Baltimore, Alexa Ashwell, Fox 45 News.
A Baltimore City Council hearing where council members are set to question BGE representatives on their deal with Mayor Scott over the Conduit system is happening. This is a live look at the meeting. Council members say they were left in the dark about the mayor's agreement, which gives BGE almost exclusive control over the city's underground conduit system. But the mayor says BGE doesn't own it. Critics say the mayor's agreement violates the will of voters who voted in November of last year to retain ownership of the system. Yesterday, the mayor defended his handling of the agreement, insisting he's abided by the letter of the law. City Council member Eric Costello spoke about this with Fox 45, and this is what he had to say.
In my mind, I can't understand why the administration and BGE did not ask for a deferral, a postponement of BGE submitting their new rates. What I do know is that the mayor claimed that action was taken on this agreement, and BGE went to the PSC 2 days later and suggested raising our rates, and that's a problem to me.
And it's a problem with a lot of other people. Just days after Mayor Scott struck that deal, again, the company proposed rate hikes on customers. The Public Service Commission would still have to approve that. And if that happens, your monthly bill would go up by an average of $10.36 for each year of the 3-year proposal. That means you pay $124 more annually each of those 3 years if it's approved by the Public Services Commission. You can see a breakdown of the costs on our website, foxbaltimore.com.
Will an overperforming charter school get shut down? Looking ahead to a vote tonight that will decide the fate of the Baltimore Collegiate School for boys.
The governor plans to cut funding to a program helping families afford private school. The battle over boost funding in Annapolis.
The Secretary of Transportation in East Palestine, Ohio today. The latest efforts in the toxic train recovery.
And we broke our record high temperature for the date, hitting 79. But tomorrow, you'll notice a big change in temperatures as we drop nearly 30 degrees. It gets even cooler on Saturday. I'll let you know how low temperatures will be and when we warm up again coming up in my Weather Authority forecast.
Fox 45 News, winner of 17 2022 Regional Emmy Awards, more than all other Baltimore news stations combined.
Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg visits East Palestine, Ohio, where a train derailed, catching fire and releasing dangerous chemicals. Tom Bosco from our Sinclair sister station says the secretary addressed the health concerns and promised accountability.
I'm here for the work and not for the politics.
Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg examined rail cars and got a briefing at the site nearly 3 weeks after 38 cars derailed, with 5 of them carrying deadly vinyl chloride. Buttigieg says he was trying to strike a balance by not coming sooner, but he admits he could have responded on social media to the disaster more quickly.
I felt strongly about this and could have expressed that sooner. Again, I was taking pains to respect the role that I have and the role that I don't have, but that should not have stopped me from weighing in about how I felt about what was happening to this community.
He says the folks who live here just want solutions.
I am really impressed with how they've been able to support one another. They're not here for the politics. They're here to make sure this community can move forward.
He goes, look outside, the sky is just lit up orange.
Diane Parker says she's had health issues since the derailment and the chemical release. The U.S. EPA has monitors throughout her town, in neighborhoods near the site. Parker says playing politics won't get her town cleaned up.
It's got nothing to do with who you vote for, really. We know what happened. We know who was at fault, the railroad. What are we going to do about it? Okay, that's what I want to know. What are we going to do about it?
The crash is attracting a number of political figures. Former President Donald Trump was in town yesterday saying the federal government did not act fast enough in its response. And environmental activist Erin Brockovich is planning a town hall meeting tomorrow.
60 million Americans are under winter weather alerts, and millions more are cleaning up after heavy snowfall. On your screen right now, a look at some of the snow they saw in South Dakota, Washington, Southern California, and Wisconsin. Whiteout, blackout conditions there, Kai. I think we have. There we go. Thousands of homes and businesses are also without power in that extreme cold, and nearly 700 flights have been canceled on Thursday, according to flight tracking site FlightAware.
Here in Baltimore, it's the warmest it's been in a year. We're seeing temperatures in the high 70s, giving us a taste of summer in February. Meteorologist Jasmine Lomax is here with those details.
I like the sound of that, summer in February.
Yeah,
I don't think
nice.
I've said that phrase before.
I can't remember
It's so weird to say.
It is.
But for the date, we actually set a record, hitting a high of 79.
Yay, we did it.
We
High
did
fives,
it.
everybody. We like a record.
We do like a record, but hopefully you enjoyed these nice temperatures before our major cool down comes. I mean, even tomorrow, we're still going to be above average in the 50s, but it will feel like a big shot compared to the 70s that we had today. Currently, we sit at 74, so we're starting to see those temperatures slowly fall. We still have plenty of sunshine, and if you plan on maybe eating outdoors this evening, it looks great for that. Temperatures are in the 60s and 70s with plenty of sunshine across the state. And compared to yesterday, it is much warmer. But this is just a one-time thing for the week as we have our next cold front moving across the region. This will lead to that big cool down that's coming tomorrow. First, we'll stay pretty quiet overnight with mostly clear skies, and we'll wake up to temperatures in the 40s. By the afternoon, though, we don't see much of a warm-up. We're looking at highs in the upper 40s and low 50s, but we'll have plenty of sunshine as that cold front moves through. We're staying nice and clear. As we head past midnight into Saturday morning, more clouds arrive, and we have the chance for a few flurries. These will continue off and on through the morning, but by about 12 p.m., most of that clears and we stay dry. We're not talking significant accumulations. We'll barely see a few flurries, so for snow lovers, it still doesn't look good for us. We're back to above average temperatures, though, on Sunday as our highs return to the 50s. We'll stay dry over most of the weekend, but then on Monday we have our next chance for rain. That will be followed by the chance for a few isolated showers on Tuesday. Thursday will bring the next chance for scattered showers and when you may need the umbrellas. 48 for the low temperature overnight. That's actually what our average high temperature is for this time of year. So that just shows you that we are very, very unseasonable. 52 by the afternoon, and it will be breezy at times. Otherwise, we'll have lots of sunshine before our next cool down comes on Saturday. Mostly cloudy with a high of 44. Then we return to the 50s on Sunday, 49 on Monday with rain, mid-50s on Tuesday and again on Wednesday. Then we're looking at the upper 50s on Thursday with our next chance for showers. Back to you.
Thank you. Taking away a program providing kids with access to schools they couldn't afford. What's behind the governor's push to end boost scholarships? A charter school's future decided tonight, the latest on a vote that could shut down a school over what school leaders call small mistakes. growing concern a stock market crash is right around the corner. Atra El-Nashar has details on how that could impact you and if there's still a way to stop it.
An updated reading of the economy out Thursday shows steady growth. But beneath the headline, signs cracks are forming in America's resilience against high inflation. Home Depot among the major companies to report disappointing sales in the fourth quarter, closing out a tough earnings season that's revealed consumers are exhausted from the high cost of necessities like food, energy, and housing.
Your total is...
To keep up, new bank rate data finds more and more Americans are turning to credit cards. Senior economic analyst Mark Hamrick calls it a worrying trend.
I don't see any relief in sight because inflation has remained remarkably high and persistent. Interest rates are likely to go higher still.
The Federal Reserve, just out with the minutes from its January meeting, is keeping close track, noting the credit quality of households also remains strong on balance despite some signs of deterioration, referring to a rise in credit card and auto loan delinquencies during the third quarter of last year. At the same time, Americans are dipping into their emergency savings. Bankrate finds 36% of U.S. adults say they have more credit card debt than savings. That's the highest reading in 12 years. Economists expect consumers to continue to rein in their spending as high inflation persists, raising fears of a recession. Some investors speculating about a stock market crash. Hamrick says there's no need to panic.
Ride it out. Don't lose any sleep over it. But if you need to make some adjustments in the intermediate or short term, consider that. But don't invest based on fear or greed.
Precautions now to prepare for what could be even more volatility in 2023. In Washington, I'm Atra El-Nashar reporting.
Gas prices are going down. According to AAA, the average cost for a gallon of gas in Maryland and around the nation is now at $3.39. That is down 3 cents from a week ago. A year ago, gas was going for an average of $3.44 a gallon. Cuts are coming to a program helping low-income families afford private schools. The controversy surrounding Governor Moore's approach to the Boost program. What will it take to fix the embattled Maryland 529 college savings program? A warning from a taxpayer advocate saying it could fall on the public to recoup millions of dollars. And a vote to decide the fate of a Baltimore charter school, the latest on the future of boys collegiate.
Tonight, a vote is scheduled to decide the fate of the Baltimore Collegiate School for Boys. The local charter school has been a high-performing learning institution in the city. The charter reports graduation rates around 95% and college enrollment at 50%, while at Baltimore City schools, only 69% of students on average graduate and 47% go to college. Well, the school is at the risk of being shut down because of what the school says are technicalities pointed out by the Board of Education.
That's right. Fox 45's Rebecca Pryor joins us live with what we can expect ahead of tonight's meeting. Rebecca?
Yeah, it's decision day for Baltimore Collegiate School for Boys. That special school board meeting happening tonight at 6 p.m., during which the board will vote to renew or revoke their charter. The school was brought under fire after the city filed a recent report finding the school was having several academic issues and operational difficulties, all problems the school describes as technicalities, such as missing paperwork or data entry errors. The school is also claiming those issues have since been addressed. Now, despite the controversy last week, Baltimore City Schools CEO Dr. Sonia Santelice is ultimately urging the board to renew the charter. Take a listen to her reasoning behind that positive recommendation.
I will tell you that there was a palpable difference, and staff agreed, in the climate of a school that, frankly, a year and a half ago was in complete disarray. And that was not what I found when I walked in, unannounced, by the way. We will actually have a high-performing school for young men in Baltimore.
Again, that meeting is scheduled for 6 p.m. tonight. We will be watching and we'll keep you updated on what the board decides. Reporting live in Baltimore City, Rebecca Pryor, Fox 45 News.
Rebecca, thank you. In Annapolis, a Maryland Senate committee is considering a bill that would launch a work group to look into the failings of Maryland's 529. That work group would include parents and state officials. Yesterday in Annapolis, both parents and students testified. They shared the pain and frustration of seeing prepaid savings accounts drained due to what Maryland 529 said was an interest calculation error.
I am a single mother of 3. And I work for Prince George's County Public Schools. I do not have the luxury of time nor the funds to change how I save for my kids' college.
My dad missed spending time with me in order to fund an account that was more expensive then than now.
Families need to pay tuition and make life-changing decisions right now.
Maryland 529 has dodged our questions on behalf of parents, including when all accounts would be freed up and if money will be returned. David Williams with the Taxpayer Advocate Protection Alliance weighs in on what it will take to fix the problem.
This is not a computer problem. This is a problem that was caused by the 529 program. And first of all, there needs to be transparency. Parents are calling and saying, what is going on? They're not getting answers. Money has disappeared. Taxpayers will probably have to bail out this fund because this is hundreds of millions of dollars that was promised to these parents. So, the Senate, was talking yesterday about, putting out a report, but they're not going to be able to solve this until probably the end of 2023 or next year. So parents need answers now.
At least 2 members of the Maryland 529 have resigned amid the chaos.
Fallout continues over Governor Wes Moore's plan to cut the Boost program. Some Republican lawmakers argue the state's teachers union is behind the cut. Fox 45's Mackenzie Frost questioned Governor Moore about his motivations to phase out the program and looks at what can be done to help students struggling in schools.
The Boost program provides scholarships to low-income families to take their child out of a struggling school and go elsewhere. Governor Wes Moore is looking to phase out the program, while Republican lawmakers here in Annapolis are trying to restore funding. And at the root of this debate, according to political analysts, is the powerful persuasion of money and support. The problems inside classrooms across the state find their way to the halls of the State House.
It's really outrageous. We shouldn't be leaving these kids behind and their families behind.
Were Republicans looking to restore the $2 million proposed cut to the $10 million Boost program. Governor Wes Moore looking to phase out the program launched to help lift low-income families out of struggling school systems.
I can't imagine, and I don't want to think about what it would have been like without it.
Like Nefertari Lee, whose son got a grant allowing him to go to a private all-boys school instead of Johnston Square Elementary, which is one of the 23 schools in Baltimore City where none of the students tested could do math at grade level.
The school selections weren't great. I just don't think that this is an area that we should cut. We are ultimately cutting kids' futures if we do that.
Democrats likely not moving on the efforts by their GOP counterparts to refund the program.
So at this point, from your perspective, the legislation that was heard earlier today is essentially dead.
Well, it's going to go to subcommittee. I haven't read it in full, so I don't know all the ins and outs of what it does. You know, it could be dead, parts of it could be saved. I'm not sure. I think the path of the General Assembly is to phase out the boost funding.
Republicans argue the hesitation to allow families to leave public schools stems from political powers.
The teachers union is very powerful, and they have come in time and time again and have been the main opposition to boost.
Children in classrooms today are losing because the General Assembly has repeatedly chosen to pay more attention to the adults who work in the system, making them the winners, while the students in the failing schools lose.
Thursday,
good morning. Happy first day of summer.
We questioned Governor Moore about the possibility of union influence.
The decisions that I make are my decisions, and no one is behind those decisions. As we're thinking about what needs to happen with public dollars, that public dollars should not be going to private schools. Public dollars are going towards ensuring that we're building a world-class public school system for all Maryland students.
But those schools right now where those students aren't a world-class school. So how does the plan work for the students who are facing those struggles right now?
Our philosophy and how we're going to address this is not going to be a measurement of defeat. We've got to make sure that we're working in partnership with the local jurisdictions.
Campaign records indicate the Maryland State Education Association donated $6,000, the max allowed, to Moore in April of 2022. Then on January 11th of this year, another $1,000 donation was made.
I think that in many ways, he's returning a favor to the unions for their endorsement.
Political analyst John Deedy says the teachers union was one of the first big unions to back Moore on the campaign trail, and now potentially flexing power it didn't have during the Hogan administration.
I think that something like this shows that the teachers unions definitely have a great deal of power in Annapolis, and they were shut out for 8 years where Governor Hogan didn't care what they thought.
While the future of the Boost program remains unclear, Moore says the current participants will continue to receive their scholarships.
The governor's proposed cuts are part of the budgeting process, and lawmakers have the ability to shift some money around. Republicans say they'll try to do that to restore the Boost program, but they won't be able to do that unless Democrats get on board. In the State House, Mackenzie Frost, Fox 45 News.
Well, strong reaction tonight on social media to the governor's plans to cut boost funding. Political commentator Armstrong Williams taking issue with the decision to slash the school choice program.
The Boost program, launched in the state of Maryland, was supposed to provide severely disadvantaged students with access to private or Catholic schools. Sadly, even this program is not immune to the political whims of those in power. Imagine how many students will have their lives forever altered for this decision of choice in their education.
Taking a closer look at Governor Wes Moore's education, he attended a prestigious private school in New York. For high school, he attended a military academy in Pennsylvania. Community activist P.M. Smith tells Fox 45 News the governor shouldn't be taking away opportunities he's had from other children.
The money is critical and essential to elevate inner city kids locked into poor performing schools, giving them an opportunity for a different environment and greater opportunity. It makes no sense to me for a young man who knows the value of education and has benefited from it. It makes no sense to me that he would cut money from such a program. And that tells me he's more of a politician than a committed man to the future of children.
We'd like to know what you think. Do you support Governor Moore's proposal to cut funding to Boost? So far, 92% say no. Head to foxbaltimore.com/vote to weigh in.
Well, some lawmakers and criminal justice experts are voicing concern over policies supported by the state's new Secretary of Juvenile Services. Vincent Schiraldi was part of a recent virtual panel for the criminal justice program at Harvard University. During that meeting, Schiraldi voiced support for eliminating probation and parole for youth offenders.
One of the two things probation and parole are supposed to do is keep us safer. Parole made us less safer. Probation had no impact.
As Secretary of DJS, Schiraldi could encourage lawmakers to adopt that no probation strategy. While the secretary says there are signs probation is ineffective, others say he's taking a concerning stance, arguing supervision is a key part of the state's justice system.
There needs to be some type of supervision for these people. I don't agree that all juveniles need to end up in a juvenile detention center, but again, some of them need to have some type of correctional supervision, aka probation, because again, it's important for them to understand that what they did was wrong.
Schiraldi, who most recently oversaw the Corrections Department in New York City, has been the target of some criticism, at one point suggesting no criminal should be exposed to the adult system until they turn 21 or 25 years of age. After his confirmation, the governor once again said he is confident in Schiraldi's judgment and ability to lead juvenile services. Well, Baltimore police identified the victim in a deadly shooting Monday. Rency Jones was shot and killed on West North Avenue near Ashburton Street. Police say she was shot in the head and pronounced dead after being taken to the hospital. Anybody with information should contact Baltimore police.
Last night in West Baltimore, a man was shot in the neck. Police say it happened around 9 o'clock on West North Avenue near Fulton Avenue. The victim is a 25-year-old and was taken to a nearby hospital, but police have not released a condition. This year, police say there have been 38 homicides in Baltimore compared to 51 this time last year. There have been 75 non-fatal shootings. Last year at this time, 98 people were shot and survived.
Well, making headlines across the country, former South Carolina attorney Alex Murdaugh takes the stand in his double murder trial where he denies killing his wife and son. During testimony today, Murdaugh admitted to lying to law enforcement about details of the night of the crime. Video shows him near the dog kennels on his property. Shortly before the murders happened there, Murdaugh originally denied being at the dog kennels.
Mr. Griffin, I didn't shoot my wife or my son anytime. Ever. I wasn't thinking clearly. I don't think I was capable of reason. And I lied about being down there. And I'm so sorry that I did.
Murdaugh said he lied because of his drug addiction and a distrust of police. He also broke down crying multiple times as he was questioned about finding the victims' bodies and while the 911 calls he made were played in court.
A first-of-its-kind vaccine to keep kids out of the hospital, the new developments in the fight against RSV.
Alarming new numbers on the amount of fentanyl getting into the country through the mail. I'm Christine Frizzell with how some regions are now fighting back.
And it looks like a great evening for spending some time, maybe out on the patio. Temperatures will be in the upper 60s and the low 70s. Enjoy the weather because tomorrow it will be much cooler. I'll let you know what you can expect as we head into the weekend coming up in my Weather Authority forecast.
Martin Luther King stated in his lifetime that the next paradigm beyond the civil rights movement is economic empowerment. We have been so involved with crisis in the classroom about crime and education and poverty and the structural damages to families. Dr. King had a point. Until we lift these tides of boats in the economic space, not much will change. So join us this Monday, February 27th, from 7 to 8 p.m. at Hubel Memorial Facilities, where we will discuss economic opportunity, entrepreneurial advantages, and how people can finally begin to realize that they too can also share in the American dream of economic prosperity. Join me, Armstrong Williams, your moderator, and our very special guest.